Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know, I'm Courtney Schwan. I'm a professional volleyball player. The pros and cons. The pros and cons of being a professional volleyball player. Because that's what I am. Let's get started. I can only speak on my experiences. Everybody has different experiences, some good, some bad. I will just mostly be speaking about the general pros and cons about playing professionally. For me, obviously, the pros outweigh the cons because this is my third year playing professionally. My first year I was in Italy and I played for 2 different teams in 1 season, and now I'm in my second year in France and I'm actually playing for the same team for 2 seasons here. I would obviously not continue if I wasn't enjoying it, and the cons were way more than the pros. So I figured that I would start with the cons so that we can end on the pros, you know, end on the good stuff. First of all, the adjustment period when you get over here can be rough depending on, you don't know exactly what you're getting into, you don't know exactly what the training is gonna be like, you don't know what to expect sometimes with the language barrier. Sometimes there can only be 1 foreigner, so you might be the only foreigner. You don't know exactly what your living situation might be. If at all possible, you should get that information before you get over here. For an American specifically, the time zone difference can be another con. Speaking with your family, you have to know what time they're gonna wake up usually, or what time that they go to sleep, because when I wake up in the morning, sometimes I sleep in too late and they're usually already asleep. In the middle of my day, I can't just call them because I'm gonna wake them up in the middle of the night. So I just have to be aware of those things sometimes. And you figure it out pretty quickly once you get over here, but that can be a con sometimes because there might be something that you really want to tell them or really want to talk to them about. I'd say the most difficult con is you're gonna miss birthdays, you're gonna miss births, you're gonna miss reunions, anniversaries, holidays. For me particularly, my first year was very, very difficult because I was playing in Italy, and in Italy you do not have any time for Christmas, and so I did not get to go home. I was on FaceTime with my family, and everybody for Christmas goes to my house, and so my whole family was there. And they were playing games and I was playing games with them on FaceTime, so there's ways that you can get around stuff and do the most you can to pretend that you're there. But it was really difficult, especially for me. I stayed close to home, so when I went professionally, I flew far away. Most people do that for college, but I waited until professional, and it's a little different when you're in college. You can just fly home on the weekends, or maybe it's a possibility if something happens that you can just fly home, but it's not the same when you fly overseas. You can't just fly home for the weekend. It takes a whole weekend to kind of get home. But yeah, you're gonna miss a whole bunch. That being said, your friends and your family are gonna support you no matter what you do. So if that means that you have to miss some birthdays or miss some anniversaries, you make it up the best that you can, whatever that is for you, to make them feel special on that day. It might be a little different than you're used to, but it's definitely possible. But your friends and family are gonna want you to have those experiences, even if it means missing some of the things and events along the way. Okay, and another really big con, which for me actually can be a pro or con, but you're gonna spend a lot of time alone, and you're gonna be alone a lot of the time. If you don't have a roommate, then you're gonna go home and you're gonna be alone. I don't have a roommate, but I prefer not to have a roommate. When you're living alone, obviously, you spend most of your time alone. Your practices and your lifting and those kinds of things are only gonna be 4, maybe 5 hours out of the day, typically. If you have a 2-hour practice in the morning, 2-hour practice in the evening, or maybe you have film, so that's an extra hour. That's only so many hours out of the day. The rest of the time you're gonna go shopping alone. I mean, you don't have to be alone. You have teammates that you can go shopping with. You have other things that you can do with people. I'm not saying that you have to be alone, but you will be alone. Another tough thing about being alone is, say you have really tough practice, or you have a tough week of practices, or even a month of not great practices, and you're just in a funk. It can be hard to get out of those when you're alone, so you have to figure it out on your own. You still have your friends and your family and your teammates and your support system that can help you, and you can still talk to them about those things, but it's a little different because they're not there right beside you to talk to you and talk you through it. And that's not necessarily the priority of the coaches here. It's not to make sure you're okay or everything is perfect for you. Like, it's a job now and you have to figure it out on your own, and being alone, that can be very difficult sometimes. Yay! Now we're gonna go to the pros because, you know, those are the good things. And the reasons why I still play, obviously, I mean, apart from like loving volleyball, because that's, you know, a big part of it. Okay, pros. Living in a different country. When are you gonna have the opportunity to do that where somebody's paying you to live in that country? I think that's huge. Along with that, there's life experiences, there's culture experiences. You could learn a new language. Like, I can speak Italian pretty well. I'm not like fluent or anything, but like, I can speak Italian. French is a little bit more difficult and I'm still learning, and it's, again, very difficult. I can understand a lot more than I can speak. The speaking part is very difficult. But anyway, learning a new language, traveling, and the accessibility to travel. Right now, it's one of the reasons I came back to this team is because I live a 30-minute drive to Luxembourg, which I didn't know was a different country until I got to France, for the record. I think I'm like a 2-hour drive to Switzerland, a couple hours to Germany. I'm a 3-hour drive to Paris. I can get to Amsterdam in like 4.5 hours. Like, I am in a very good place to travel, and it's crazy how much you can see while you're over here. You can have an off day. Just takes me one off day. Last year we had an off day during Oktoberfest, and we took our Sunday, I think it was like the last day that Oktoberfest is even happening, but we were like, yeah, why not? I was like, we have nothing else to do, even on an off day. And so we drove to Oktoberfest and we just spent a day in Oktoberfest, which was so much fun. It's another experience that's completely priceless. So easy to travel anywhere. You can travel by train. You can, if you have a car, then driving is easy too. I prefer driving because I know that I can leave whenever I need to, or if something changes in the schedule, then I can get there when I need to. On top of that, talking about traveling and being in a different country, you literally, that's your job. You get paid to play and live in a different country. Like, it's one of the only jobs where you get paid to travel, basically, which is absolutely incredible. And I think it's the opportunity of a lifetime. And I think the age that I am is perfect for those opportunities. I think there's a lot of people who travel abroad and do that in college, and I think that's a great opportunity too. I think traveling in general, that's just my opinion, but you get so many more experiences and you learn so much. And like, I've gained a lot of patience, which is something I'm grateful for since living overseas. But yeah. Another pro is you get to meet new people and different kinds of people. There are people that I have met that I would have obviously never met without coming over here. And people, like, I played with someone from Greece when I played in Italy. So if I ever want to go to Greece, I just let her know and be like, hey, like, do you have any recommendations, or can I stay with you? Or I can come back to Europe and go to different places, and I have connections in so many other places now that if I want to travel in the future, or when my season ends, or if I have a free weekend, I can just hop a plane and go wherever I want. Okay, another pro is that you get to learn and see new styles of volleyball. European volleyball is different than American volleyball. Not completely, but there are different types of serves that you maybe have never seen when you're in America. There are different ways of approaching the game, different ways to play defense. It's more of a learning experience, and you just get so much more out of it. You have ways that you're gonna enjoy more or less, but the fact that you're experiencing them and you're getting to learn new ways of volleyball is a huge pro. The last pro that I'm going to talk about is being alone as well, because for me it's a pro. I think I've learned so much more about myself. I've learned that I actually enjoy being alone. I could sometimes prefer being alone actually. While being alone, you're going to learn how to cook, because you got to do it for yourself when you're over here. You might learn that you're not so good at being alone, and that's a life lesson in itself. You might learn that you love certain things about being alone. Like, you might have more time to read, and you started, like, I hated reading before last year even. I didn't even really try when I was in Italy, but when I came to France last year, I started reading more. And I found out that I absolutely love it. I only love one type of genre, but like, I love that genre. And I have read like at least quadruple the books that I have ever read in my entire life in one season because I learned how much I enjoy it. I think that's it. But for me, those are the pros and cons about being a professional volleyball player. Again, for me, the pros much outweigh the cons, especially, you know, I get to play the game that I love as a pro. And I think that's a huge pro. I realized that I have a very unique opportunity here and I need to take advantage of it, and I want to travel as much as I can. I need to learn more languages. I'm all for the pros, man. Okay, bye. How do I say that well?